What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the DFS OGs podcast. We are rolling things into the playoffs wild card weekend on deck. 6 games for us all throughout the weekend. We're going to give you our thoughts on each and every game, dig into some of the props, some of the trends. Looks like a fun weekend of games. So playoffs, always a fun time in the betting world, DFS world, some big contests out there as well. So we will discuss every single game here. Excited to get into things. We are presented by our friends over at BetMGM. Make sure you head over there. Use promo code GRINDERS. Still alive with that promo code. That's going to get you a risk-free bet up to $1,000. And what a better time to take advantage of that offer. Also, scoresandodds.com. You've heard us talk about it all season long. Make sure you check it out. We'll be utilizing it here on the show, looking through some of the lines at the different books, see if there's any anomalies, any different prices out there we can take advantage of, but we will focus on BetMGM's spreads and totals. Let me bring in my boys, Chop, Noto. Chop, we'll start with you this week, buddy. Playoffs, always a fun time. 2 of your guys' teams made it. Mine decided to take this year off, so we'll talk about your Cowboys. Sure, you're excited. Matchup with old Noodle Arm. Chop, how we doing today, brother?
Doing good. One of the better times of the year for football, to be honest with you, when it comes to the NFL. Like, that weekly grind gets old after, several weeks and kind of monotonous, and this kind of rejuvenates it a little bit because everything means so much. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. Excited. We get Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night this year in this wild card format. Noto, congrats, buddy. Jags pulled it off. Home playoff game here against the Chargers. So got to be excited. We'll dig into that game. How we doing, brother?
Yeah, Jags pulled off the comeback win with negative yards in the fourth quarter. Pretty hard to do, but they managed to do it. Sorry about your Packers. I was rooting for them. One of my favorite bets of the week, and kind of seemed like they had that game in hand until that field goal hit the upright, and then it kind of just changed the momentum up a little bit.
Yeah, it did not surprise me with Detroit coming in hungry. I know there was some concerns once Seattle won. What's Detroit going to do? And we talked about it. Dan Campbell was not going to go into this game and sit guys, rest guys. So Detroit was simply the better, the hungrier team, a team that future looks bright in the Detroit for the Lions. So we'll see next season on them. We always do a preseason props, totals, Super Bowl bets, so maybe the Lions will be a part of that. But let's dig in to the games, guys. We'll start on Saturday. First game up for us, Seattle, San Francisco. Huge spread in this one, as you'd expect. Opened at 10. It's come down a little bit, sitting at 9.5 here at BetMGM. Pretty much across the board, 42.5. Looks like the consensus total on this one. So, Noto, we'll start with you. These teams, we've seen this matchup before. San Francisco has won both. They've ripped off 10 wins in a row, putting points on the board seemingly every week with Brock Purdy at quarterback. Seattle kind of back their way in. You got to give them credit. Survive that missed field goal, survive Baker Mayfield. They are here. Do you give them any shot here? The big spread, 9.5. And it looks like, some money going towards the Seattle side of things here. Which side do you land on? Any props you like? What are you doing here to open us up? Seattle, San Francisco.
Yeah, if you think the game's going to be close, certainly don't hate the Seattle side. But they say it's always hard to beat the same team 3 times in a season. I do not see the Niners losing this game. There's no way. I don't think the Seahawks are going to be very competitive. They probably should have lost last week. They got the benefit of a bunch of calls in the second half against the Rams last week. I was kind of hoping for the Steelers to sneak in. I thought that would have been – I got confused. The Lions to sneak in as the last spot in the NFC. But anyway, the Niners better defensive team, better offensive team. I don't think they're going to have any problem on the ground or through the air. So I'm going to take the Niners, and I feel pretty good about it.
All right, we'll go to Chop. I want to lay out a few trends here. We mentioned San Francisco won both of these matchups. They've been putting points on the board, and that's the bet I like the best, guys, is San Francisco over on their team total. I think that they put up 33 or more in 5 of the last 6 games. Now, the only time they didn't do that in that stretch was against Seattle, 27 and 21 points against the Seahawks in their 2 matchups here. But that's the bet I prefer. I'm with you. I'm on the San Francisco side here. I think they roll Seattle 1-7 against the number over their last 8 games. So they have not been covering games. So San Francisco over for me, Chop, is my favorite play. What do you got here? Seattle, San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. The third time they've seen each other here, divisional game here in the first round of the playoffs. At San Francisco early, it was really early in the year. You can't take much from it, but 27-7 without McCaffrey. And the game 21-13 a couple weeks ago, that was in Seattle. That's a tough place to play in general, and to go in and win by 8 on the road against a playoff team is pretty good anyway. So now you're back in San Francisco here. Yeah, man, it'd be hard for me to see. They've given up 20 points total to the Seahawks this year, total in 2 games. Where are they going to find? Is they magically going to find some offense this week? Maybe, but I don't see it happening. So I'm on the Frisco side too.
All right, let's go to LA. Jacksonville up next. Latest numbers: the Chargers 2-point road favorites here. In Jacksonville, total at 47.5. Noto, we'll get to you here. Anxious to see. Are you going to back your team here? Are you going with the road team? Opened up at 1.5, so it's ticked up a little bit. Looks like 2s across the board. FanDuel sitting at 2.5. Heavy juice on the Jacksonville side of things. Total again at 47.5. So, Chop, we'll go to you here. 2 young upstart quarterbacks here in the playoffs matching up. Jacksonville survives Tennessee. The Chargers kind of surprised some people last week in Denver. The line was moving. It got all the way to 6, I believe, yet the starters were still out there in that game. So a couple of quick trends for you here. LA 5-1 against the number over their last 6 on the road against teams with winning numbers. 4-0-1 against the spread over their last 5. The under has hit in 5 of the last 6 for the Chargers. And Jacksonville at home, unders have hit in 11 of their last 14 home games. So with that being said, Chop, under is where I want to be on this one. It's a little scary because we know these offenses can get it going. We saw Jacksonville drop 38 on this team back earlier in the season in LA, but I like the under 47.5 as my preferred play here. What do you got here, Chop? Chargers, Jaguars.
So we got 6 games, so we got a little bit of time here to fill, and I'll start it off with a little rant of please. I'd like to know the logic from some of these coaches in some of these decisions to play your starters in week 18 when there's 0 on the line. And when I mean 0, they could not move their position, a couple of them, including the Chargers. And so what happens, of course, Mike Williams goes out, throws out his back, didn't practice yesterday, don't know about today, didn't see the report, but he's highly questionable. And if he plays, you got to wonder if he's even nearly at full strength. And Herbert also limped off the field at one point, and it was like, oh man, you had to put your face in your palm of your hands, going, "What is this guy doing?" There's no reason to play these guys. There's no such thing as building momentum into the game next week into the play. Man, come on, man, it's a joke. I don't understand it. So just bad coaching all around, and it might have cost you Mike Williams now, which is a key figure in your offense. So, but even with that injury, I think I'm on the Chargers here, respectfully, Noto. I hope you guys win, but just if I was going to bet it, I think I'm leaning Chargers just because, Jacksonville flashed some really ugly offense last week, man. And I can't get that out of my mind right now. It was not good at some points. Chargers are slowly but surely getting a little bit healthier and healthier on defense, and that matters. And as long as Keenan is healthy and Eckler's healthy, I think you can sustain the loss of Mike Williams this week. Maybe not moving forward, but this week you can. So I think altogether, I'm on the Chargers here.
Yeah, my lean is the Chargers here as well. Sorry, Noto. I think they're the more talented team. When you just line these 2 teams up, it's cool to see Jacksonville in the playoffs, bouncing back from a horrible season last year. But I lean the Chargers. But again, I'm going to go to that under 47.5. As the preferred play here. Noto, what are you doing? It's your Jags. I know you tend to be pessimistic here, but do you believe they can win this game? And if you're betting the game, which side are you on?
Yeah, I love the old life hedge, betting against my team, but that's usually when I don't care if they win or lose. This spot, I have to either just not bet the game or go with the Jags just because I don't want to have, conflicted interests here. Dan Bach, CEO of RotoGrinders, obviously a big Jaguars fan. He was watching the Week 18 game against the Titans with Soccer Dave and Cal Spears, the old CEO. So he was outnumbered 2-1 for Titans fans last week. But, I got to rock with the Jaguars. And like Chop said, some of these coaches, some of the decisions they were making. How about the 2 play calls in the Jaguars game last week? We had the Titans run that. It was kind of like a hook and ladder, but Burks threw it like 10 yards forward, just straight in the air as he was getting tackled. And then the very next possession, the Jaguars get the ball, and they run a crazy reverse where Lawrence could have just handed the ball off, but he decided to pitch it over his head. Just some of the plays that we saw in that game were pretty incredible. I'm rooting for the Jags. I probably wouldn't suggest other people bet on the Jags because I don't have a strong take on it, but I'm excited for it.
So I want to get you guys' takes on the Texans. I mean, you got a shot at the number 1 pick. You go out and you play a competitive game. Then you go for 2 and the win at the end of the game, which basically gave that number 1 pick to Chicago. So, no thoughts on that real quick. And we got some extra time here to talk about some other stuff. I was a little surprised. Then you start hearing reports Lovie Smith was going to be fired regardless. So was it an FU? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna win this game just to stick it to you. Just kind of a shocker that on Chop's ran here. Same kind of concept. Why take that number 1 pick away? And maybe they thought, hey, Chicago don't need a quarterback. We're not worried about it. But you got to think it's gonna be teams lining up at the door talking to Chicago about trading for that pick, and it would make a ton of sense for them to move that pick, accumulate as many picks as you can. They got a lot of holes to fill on that team, and maybe Houston likes both of the quarterbacks the same, or maybe they're a Will Levis team. Who knows? But just thoughts on that real quick note. I was kind of surprised Houston going for the win there.
Yeah, the only possible explanation is that Lovie Smith knew he was going to be fired. It's not going to be hard to, rally the players and try to get them to win because, some of them won't be there next year. A lot of them want to put, good film on tape. So, I think it just had to be Lovie Smith, big FU to the organization. And what a way to go out. I thought it was something. Bad for the organization, but it was interesting for sure.
And a tale of 2 Lovies. I believe it was back in week 1 against the Colts where they played for the tie when they should have been going for the win. And then when you're should be trying to lose, you go for the win. Chop, any thoughts on Houston and that debacle in Indianapolis?
Baffling. It's just baffling. I understand it. If Lovie said, well, we don't know, maybe that's the reason why Lovie got fired was because of the win. You got to call down to your quarterback and say, hey, man, make sure we don't even if the coach is trying to win it, call to your quarterback and say, make sure we don't win this game. You got to do something. There's just too much leverage in having the number 1 pick. Even if you don't want it, you can trade and get just a gold mine of other picks. So it's just baffling, man.
All right, let's move to Sunday. We'll open up with Buffalo, Miami. This number obviously been on the move, opened up at 10.5. We are up to 13 here pretty much across the board. See some 13.5s even total, 43.5. Obviously the news, Skylar Thompson expected to start once again. Chop, I know you're a big fan of Skylar Thompson, but Buffalo looks to be in a good spot here. Dispatched the Patriots last week. Big team total here for Buffalo. And that's another one like San Francisco. Rather than worrying about the backdoor Betty, I don't mind hitting these team totals on San Francisco, Buffalo. The Bills have scored 28 or more points in 6 of the last 8 games. Their team total sitting at 27.5 on DraftKings right now at -115. So that's the route I want to go. I think Buffalo, the play on the spread, but Buffalo's team total is where I'm looking, Chop. What do you got here, Miami, Buffalo?
If Tua was in this game and he was healthy from what we've seen this year, this is probably like a 3-point game coming down to the fourth quarter. They've been very competitive with Buffalo with Tua in there. Skylar Thompson, on the other hand, not an NFL quarterback. You're asking him to come in here on the road and play with a banged-up Waddle and a banged-up Tyreek Hill, both having missed a little bit of time last week with like lower body injuries. Yeah, my only trepidation is that the Bills are the big post the letdown from the DeMar first game back, special teams touchdown. Now it's an exhale and a letdown early in this game. Other than that, I think the Bills roll them. So the spread jumped up a lot. That's a big number. But, I mean, from how's Dolphins, I was worried they couldn't score a point last week to get into the playoffs. What are they going to do on the road against Buffalo? I like Buffalo here.
Yeah, I mean, you score 9 at home against the Jets. Now you got to go on the road here and face this Buffalo team. So, they had some success on the ground last time these two teams met, but Mostert looking like he's going to be out. So you're down to Jeff Wilson. And if I'm Buffalo, I'm loading up the box. Skylar Thompson, you're going to have to beat me. You're going to have to make some throws here. And I don't know that he can. I'm with you, Chop. A lot of worries there. And this one, I feel better about. Of the big spreads, I feel better about going with Buffalo than San Francisco. I think Seattle has a chance to potentially keep that game close. I don't see a scenario, Noto, where Miami keeps this close. So I know we love to look at those alternate spreads as well. Buffalo as high as minus 20, 21. I think they could roll here. I'm with Chop. So I'm going to be seeking those out as well. What do you got here? Dolphins, Bills.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. Bills Mafia is going to be going crazy for this one. And we talked about it a lot in the middle of the season where the Bills were big favorites in a lot of games, and they just kept winning these really close games. They weren't covering the spreads. For the last 2 weeks, they were 8.5-point favorites against the Bears, won by 22. Last week, they were 8-point favorites against the Patriots. They won by 12. So they're starting to cover big spreads again. They're starting to get going, getting that momentum. Their offense is clicking. So, yeah, I really love Buffalo in this spot. And felt so good about them winning. I added the money line to all my golf bets this week. Didn't do much to the golf bets, but I mean, it gets you from 18-1 to 21-1, something like that. So, go Buffalo. I think they just dominate in this one.
All right, let's move to Giants, Vikings, Minnesota -3. That has stayed steady since open. Total has come up a little bit, open 47.5. That's up to 48. There are some 48.5s out there. As well. We just saw this game on Christmas Eve. Vikings survived 27-24. Now, I want to point out some of the betting splits here, and this is some of the stuff you can find at Scores and Odds right now, guys. And this changes. This is fluid. This can adjust very, very quickly. But as of right now, the bet's about split on this game at 50-50. 91% of the money, though, is backing the Giants here. So no thoughts on that. We've talked about Minnesota being a fraud. Now we get to put it to the test here. I'm on the Giants here. I think they can go on the road and win this game. I don't hate a money line play. I think we get another very close game in this one. So I like the Giants plus the 3 points here. What do you got here, Noto?
Oh, man, I'm right there with you. I like the Giants. If you just look at we've been calling both of these teams frauds all year. It's kind of funny that they ended up playing each other in the first round, but if you look at the Giants offense, it's been much better over the last, 6 to 8 weeks of the season. Their defense still isn't very good. And the Vikings over the last 6 weeks, they've been the worst rush offense in the NFL. They just haven't been able to run the ball. They can still throw the ball, but I think that's going to be a big deal from coaching. I do like Dable a little bit better than O'Connell, both rookie coaches. So I'm taking the road team, and let's see what Chop has to say.
Well, I'm going to back our case here, Noto. Couple interesting trends here. The Giants were incredible against the spread this season. 13-4 against the number, 7-3 over their last 10, 6-1 against the spread on the road this season. Minnesota just 4-5 against the number at home so far this season. So the trends are with us here as well. 2 out of 3 in the Giants camp. I know it's a divisional foe for Chop. We'll see if he can set that aside. Chop, what do you got here? The battle of the frauds, Giants, Vikings.
Yeah. So just to kind of reiterate some of the things you guys were saying, the Giants, probably the best part of their defense is their 2 defensive tackles, and Notorious highlighted Dalvin Cook not being able to run anyway. I don't think they run the ball. So I think it's a pass-oriented game plan for the Vikings. And on the flip side, Daboll has shown me that he can adjust, man. He can call plays, and he's done a lot this year with what's the phrase, making some chicken salad out of chicken whatever, right? Like
chicken salad out of chicken shit. You can say it, Chop.
He's 9-6-1, 9-7-1. The last week doesn't even count because they didn't play anybody. Like they rested everybody. So He's done a lot with that. He's a good coach, good offensive minded coach. I think they have a good game plan. I think the Vikings have to be air oriented here. I think their head coach has shown a really nice ability to scheme open his best players. And sometimes that hasn't, like Justin Jefferson, the monster season, but sometimes that wasn't even when Jefferson couldn't be schemed open. Look at what he's done with KJ Osborne some weeks this year. And TJ Hawkinson's had some slate breaking weeks. So I think he's a good offensive coach. What I'm trying to say is I think the 3 is about right on the money. So I like the over here because I think we're going to get some fireworks.
Over is hit in 6 of the last 7 for the Minnesota Vikings. So we saw 51 in that last meeting on Christmas Eve. So I don't hate the over in this one either. All right, Ravens Bengals on Sunday night. Cincy up to an 8.5 point favorite. That has come up from 6, actually 8 here at BetMGM. There are some 8s out there, 8.5s. There's a 7.5. So kind of all over the board on this one. Total way down there at 40.5. No update on Lamar Jackson, Chop. Not sounding good, though. Huntley sounds like he is on track, so at least they'll have him under center here. But without Lamar on the road, Cincinnati, a tough draw. Obviously just saw this game last week since he didn't look great, but got the win here. What are you doing with this big number here, Chop? Ravens, Bengals.
Yeah, the whole Lamar thing, I thought he was going to play. I kind of thought, he's just kind of resting up. He had plenty of he is going to play this week, but then we got the word today that it's just like really looking bad for him. And Tyler Huntley just doesn't do it for me, man. So it throws this whole game into flux of what I wanted to do with it. So I kind of don't know, man. I guess I'll take the over because it's such a low number, and I know Joe Burrow can theoretically pass on anybody. And this isn't a terrible matchup for him. He's got his weapons. So I think they can hang a big number. And then the Bengals have struggled with Mark Andrews in the past, so maybe that can generate you a couple touchdowns right there. So I'll lean the over because it's such a low number. But, yeah, Huntley over Lamar being in this lineup is kind of messed me up here. So I don't want to touch the spread.
Yeah, I'm off of the spread here as well. If I could have caught it at the 6 under a touchdown, I'm likely more inclined. I would be on the Bengals side, but at 8, probably leaving it alone. The total, I'm with you. I lean the over on it, but probably just looking at props in this one. Again, maybe a Cincinnati team total is the way to kind of avoid, taking the over and then Baltimore not doing their part here. I do think Cincinnati going to put some points on the board. Couple trends. Baltimore 1-6-1 against the spread against the AFC North this season. Cincinnati 9-1-1 against the spread their last 11 at home. So we know they've been very good in their home building, Noto. Is it enough to back them at -8, though?
I don't know. Everything that you look at is going to point towards the Bengals, especially if it's not going to be Lamar. I mean, I swear this spread was 7 yesterday. So the news today must have, made the spread even worse. But man, just John Harbaugh in the playoffs. These teams know each other so well. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You just get the feeling it's kind of going to be an ugly game, and for that reason, I'll take the big spread on the road with the Ravens. But not a game that I feel great about. I would probably just tease the Bengals down myself to 2.5, something like that, and then you parlay that with something else.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw together a Cincinnati, Buffalo, San Fran teaser and come through all those the key number there of 7. So don't hate that at all. That may be the way to go as well. Kind of eliminate, the 6-7 point game potentially not covering that 8. So options there, teasers for you. All right, Monday Night Football, and I don't know how I feel about the playoff game being on Monday night. If you guys have thoughts on this. I mean, I guess it's more rest now, less rest, though, heading into the next round of the playoffs. Just seems kind of like a money grab for the NFL to spread this thing out as much as they can. But here we are. It's still playoff football. Chime in on that if you guys want. We got Dallas, Tampa Bay. Dallas sitting as 2.5 point favorites right now. 45.5 is where the total sits in this one. And this one's got some trends as well as far as bets and money. And it's the Tampa Bay side, Noto, that's garnering the bets and the money. 64% of the bets, 83% of the money so far. And again, this changes. This is fluid, so it's not stuck in cement here. The over, also some big discrepancies. 36% of the bets, yet 75% of the money on the over here. So Some big splits there in bets and money on both the spread, the total. We'll get the chop here on his Cowboys momentarily. But Noto, Tampa Bay, not been good against the spread. That's for sure. Some of their trends, 4-12 against the spread this season, 1-6-1 against the number at home. But the over is hitting 4 of their last 5 games. Dallas, the over is hitting 5 of their last 7. So trends point to Dallas and point to the over. Agree or disagree?
I don't mind the overplay, and I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I really want to see the Cowboys advance to the next round, but give me Tom Brady. I mean, all season we've been saying, look, the Bucs are going to sneak into the playoffs because their division sucks, and then Brady's going to have 1 or 2 more big games because that's what he does. So I'm going to blindly take Tampa Bay at home, but I'm rooting for your Cowboys, Chop.
I smell a bet here. Smelling a bet. So Chop and Noto here. I would tend to lean the over, and the reason is exactly what you just laid out. Betting against Tom Brady, especially in the playoffs, especially when their backs against the wall, has just been bad business for 20-some years now. I lean the Cowboys. I do think they're the better team. Tampa Bay dealing with injuries here. Dak has to have some control here. Cannot turn the ball over, which has been an Achilles heel for this team. But the over, likely the way I'm going to go on this one. All right, Chop, want to hear what you think here. Your Cowboys on the road Monday night against Old Noodle Arm.
Tampa Bay has not been good this entire year, and nothing has changed through 17 weeks. Well, I've seen nothing these last few weeks to tell me that they're any better than they were when we were writing them off earlier in the year. There's nothing, no, I can't see it. What's changed is injuries for the Cowboys. They are, just because the team doesn't lose your quarterback or your number 1 wide receiver or a big name guy doesn't mean you're not beset with injuries. And they are. They're really bad on the defensive side, especially, but it's caught up to them now. That defense is not good for Dallas right now. People wonder why they're kind of breaking down and giving up these big games this last part of the year, because it's not the same defense. It's just not. So because of that, I can't touch the Cowboys. I just don't know what kind of team they are right now. Maybe they, theoretically, they should go out there and be able to, even with the injuries, they should be able to get to Tom Brady and do some damage and win this game. They should still be the more talented team, but I can't touch that. But I'm with you on the over just for that reason, because if Tampa goes out and scores some points, boy, then they're going to let Dak drop back and air it out, and then we get, hurry up offense quite a bit in this game, and, that just leads to massive points. So I think there's too many. And then on the other side, if the Cowboys build a lead, Brady dropping back into the 2-minute offense for 2.5 quarters is going to be phenomenal for the over. So I think there's too many ways that the over can hit, and I think that spread is very much like a flip of the coin. So I'm taking the over here.
Yeah, I mean, the concern with the over is we've seen both of these offenses really look bad at times, and really bogged down when they get to the red zone, a lot of field goals. So that's the concern, but that's the preferred play, I think, for me, is that over on this one. Just counting out Tom Brady is very hard to do. I agree with you, Chop. That team has looked horrible. Couple late drives, you give them credit for that, but the body of work has just not been there. Their numbers against the spread are terrible. Should be an interesting game, no doubt. So, all right, that does it for the games. Anything else? Super Bowl predictions. Let's just jump ahead here. We will be back next week. Last week will be next week. We'll go over all the games next week. Be a nice, quick show. Nice, quick, easy listen for you guys like this week. Right around 30 minutes here, but Super Bowl predictions, any thoughts in DFS or anything you guys want to add? I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but any thoughts on the weekend overall, anything we didn't talk about? Noto, we'll start with you.
Yeah, if we get, the favorites in all these games to advance, we're going to have an incredible weekend of football next week. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Hoping there aren't any bad teams that advance. If it's the Jags, I'll take it.
Yeah,
other than that,
I hear you trying to reverse jinx right now.
But no, it should be some great games next week, and setting up to be a great Super Bowl. And this is a random thought, but do you guys know any people that are Cowboys, Yankees, and Lakers fans? I have 3 different friends that are all fans of these 3 teams. They didn't grow up together. I don't know how this worked. I don't know if they just picked the best team of each sport when they were little, or if this is just a Utah thing or what.
I know a few people that they're, Alabama and whoever's like the mega power that's been good for a while in a sport, like all the teams you just mentioned, kind of like America's team in each sport. It makes sense. I know a few people. It's the old, the old championship chasers. They just want to be on the teams that are winning everything. So, no. Do you have a Super Bowl prediction? You got to call it right now. Who's going?
I think I like the Bills. All
right.
And then, sorry. Do you want me to pick an NFC team?
Yep.
All right. Bills Niners. Bills win by a touchdown.
I have Bills Niners as well. And I think San Francisco wins the Super Bowl this year. You can bet on these matchups. You can look ahead now. I think it's 8-1 was the latest I saw if you wanted to go that route. But this is a fun, if you feel strongly about something, grabbing a Super Bowl matchup. Don't even have to pick the winner in that one. Obviously, the winning Super Bowl winner is out there as well. But Chop threw his hands up. Does that mean we're all in agreement here that it will be Buffalo and San Francisco in the big game?
So I'll say, as far as the Niners are concerned, it worries me that everybody I hear is on the Niners, except for like Philly fans, diehard fans, but it seems like everybody's saying the Niners, and that scares me because I've been on the Niners bandwagon since the day they traded for McCaffrey. Does worry me a little bit. They got a quarterback that's a rookie. How's he going to handle that? I don't know. But imagine if you ever gave Shanahan a real quarterback over the years. He'd be awesome. But it's just a good all-around team. So I'm on the Niners too. But it's worrisome that everybody likes the Niners.
Look at the road. That's
I know that's the thing. It is
Seattle, and then you're going to get the Giants or the Vikings likely, and it's the team then go on the road to Philly and win.
That's why. Well, I was on them. I just think they're the best team, even if they didn't have the easiest road. I just think they're the best team. Period. So you got that working. I think in the AFC, if I had to bet on it, I would bet Buffalo. I guess my one thing, I would say this. I think the winner in the second round, Cincinnati, Buffalo, the winner of that game is going to go to the Super Bowl. I think that Buffalo, if they win, they're kind of like built to compete with Kansas City. And it'll be a neutral site too. So I think Buffalo can win that. But Joe Burrow, might be outside of the Niners. And even if you include the Niners, they might be playing the best football in the NFL. Cincinnati is at just the right time. And if they can get by Buffalo, they own Kansas City, right? Burrow's 3-0 against them, never scored less than 27 points against them. Like, they got something over Kansas City. So I'd be very worried about that if I was Kansas City. So I think the winner of that second round game with Buffalo, Cincy, might just be the team that goes on. So just for the sake of being different, I'll throw a monkey wrench in there, and I'll say Cincinnati versus San Francisco. And finally, San Francisco closes the deal this year.
Yeah, that takes me back to like 1989 or whenever that Super Bowl was.
Little John Taylor post route, man. Yeah.
That's one of those was a close game, I want to say. So, yeah, the worry with that is Buffalo, Cincinnati just destroy each other, and it's a war, and then you limp into Kansas City. My issue with the Chiefs is their defense. We know the offense is electric. Can they stop anybody on the ground, through the air? That's the worry. I mean, you look at all of these teams. Look at San Francisco. They're good on both sides of the ball. Kansas City, great offensively. That defense is going to cause issues, and maybe they just outscore everybody here in the playoffs. But that's my worry with the Chiefs here. So, anything else, guys? Anything we want to cover? Anything you want to toss out here? Final thoughts here. Again, we'll keep this short, sweet, and we'll look forward to these games. Chop, we'll stay with you. Final thoughts here, Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, just, sit back and enjoy it. We got this weekend and we got the next weekend, and then that'll be kind of like winding it down for us. There won't be the DFS prize pools are still there, but just two games and then just a showdown. That's not that really not my cup of tea. But so I'm gonna thoroughly sit back and enjoy this thing this weekend from Saturday afternoon all the way to Monday night, which, by the way, I don't like.
Okay, I was gonna just ask.
I hate that. I think
it's weird.
Just disgusting. Give us 3 and 3. 3 Saturday, 3 Sunday. Don't push us into Monday. We don't need it. Not only is it a disadvantage for one team right there, or whoever wins got to go on and get a little bit shorter rest in the big weekend next weekend. But it's just not necessary, man. Just give us 3 solid on Saturday, 3 solid on Sunday.
You know, it's all about the almighty dollar, Chop. You already know that with the NFL, but I agree. No, final thoughts here. Wild card weekend.
Yeah, I agree on the Monday take. I was going to ask you guys if this was the first year they were doing it because it caught me by surprise. I
never remember a Monday. That's why it threw me
off.
I
thought they did it last year. I don't quote me on that, but I thought they did it last year for the first time.
Yeah, I don't remember. But what about a dark horse? You guys got any dark horses? Other than the Chargers, I think they're kind of the popular one.
If there's a team that's not, say, the teams we've talked about, Buffalo, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Niners, Chop, I think it's your Cowboys. If there's any team that I look at in the entire playoff pool that could go on a run, of course, you can make a case for Tom Brady, of course, but Dallas has what it takes. Now, those injuries could be a factor, but offensively, defensively, I think they can go to any building and win. Dallas would be a dark. If you're looking for a dark horse to bet, the numbers have come up on the big 4 favorites as of now. Dallas would be it for me. No, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say the winner of that Dallas Buccaneers game. Probably going to have the best shot. Will they play Philly?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's a winnable game. I mean, I like Philly, but they've kind of been beatable towards the end of the season. Don't know, if Hurts is going to be, completely back. So I'd say the winner of that game.
Chop, I'm guessing yours is the Bengals.
If you consider the Bengals a dark horse, absolutely. I think that they've got just as good of a chance to win the AFC as Buffalo or Kansas City. Kansas City a little bit just odds-wise because they get to skip a game and all that other stuff, but I think they've got just as good of a chance to beat any of those teams head-to-head as the teams have to beat them. So Cincinnati would be the team I say sneaking in there.
Chop, what the hell happened to TCU?
I mean,
I know they're outmanned, out
as a college football guy,
out everything, but my goodness.
As a college football guy, is not surprising. I mean, like you say, what happened to them? I say that if they would have won that game, or if they would have kept that thing down, took that thing down to the wire, that would have been. I think I would have been sitting there going, "What happened to Georgia?" But what happened on Monday night was not. That's what should have happened. That was not surprising at all.
I mean, Georgia covered the over by themselves. They hit their team total at halftime. They went over that. Chop, if it was Michigan, what kind of game do you think it would have been? Just curious.
It would have been a tighter game, just theoretically, because Michigan could have burned up a little clock. It still would have been a four-plus touchdown game. It's just Georgia and Alabama are on a different level, and now Georgia has surpassed them by a pretty good margin. Georgia's just incredible. I don't think people understand that back in the day, that you used to be able to go Texas, Florida, California. That's where you recruit from. Somehow Georgia snuck in there and might be just as prolific with the college talent as any of those spots. So Georgia somehow, they're good, man. The state of Georgia pushing out high school players into college, and then that's kind of carried over to the Georgia Bulldogs. They're incredible, man. So they're just the best. Anybody that their toughest matchup was the week before against Ohio State, and they almost got caught slipping. And once they got past that one, it was lights out for whoever had to face them in the finals.
Last question. Does the old man, 48-year-old Stetson Bennett, have any future in the NFL?
He might be a clipboard holder, man, but that's about all I like. No. Just a real quarterback going out there on the field and playing a lot of downs in the NFL, no chance, man. First of all, I don't know how you guys feel. It's just a little bit weird to me sometimes when guys are 24, 25, 20. I saw Chris Winkie, Florida State years, but was 27, 28 years old.
30, I thought.
That's a little bit weird. You're playing against 18 to 22-year-olds. That's kind of like the college range. To me, it's a little bit weird when you start getting up into 25, 26, and you're still playing with basically the kids out there. It's kind of not fair, but whatever, man.
Wasn't one of those punters, they said 30 years old? I swear I heard something.
You
They're
go
both
Google,
Australian, but one guy was
yeah,
like 30.
but go Google some stuff online about some of the older guys in college now. They like with the rules and like we never thought about it, I guess, but theoretically we could go back to college. And a lot of old geezers are doing it, man, going back and trying out for football in their 40s and 50s. It's bizarre, but I want no part of it, but good luck to them.
Yeah, I can hold a hell of a clipboard if that's what it took. So, no, any thoughts on that? Georgia, Stetson Bennett, any of that stuff?
No, not really. There's a reason why I asked Chop for his scouting report on guys I don't know because I don't watch a ton of college football. But, yeah, they should make a rule. It can't be over 25 unless you're over 35, and then let them back in, you know. Then it'd be interesting.
You're going to get an old man killed 35 out there playing with the young bucks, man. That's where you get the problems. So, all right, that'll wrap it up here. We appreciate you guys for listening. We appreciate the support of BetMGM. Again, that promo code GRINDERS for a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Scoresandodds.com. Going to have you covered top to bottom. Those betting splits, checking odds across all of the different books, and premium picks loaded up in as well in all the different sports. So make sure you check that out. Golf is back, so no noto on top of that. NBA in full swing and this incredible weekend of playoffs. We appreciate your guys' support. If you're on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button. If you're listening on a podcast app, go ahead and leave us a review if you guys enjoy the show, and we thank you for that. For Chop, for Noto, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend, and we'll see you next week. Kick off the new pro football season with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up at BetMGM using bonus code GRINDERS, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Wyoming, or Ontario only. Must be 21 years or older to wager. 19 or older in Ontario. New customer offer only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, D.C., Kansas, Louisiana, Nevada, Wyoming, or Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in Indiana, Maryland, New Jersey, or West Virginia. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or call 1-888-777-9696 in Mississippi and Ontario. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Ohio, and Utah, and other states where prohibited. Promotional offers not available in Nevada and New York.